That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 41 with Mike and Alex. Regular season basketball in the books. The Knicks have played, the Nets have played, and we've got some live action to talk about. And I know that Alex is excited to talk about his Knicks from last night. The Nets played on Tuesday. They opened up the NBA season against the Golden State Warriors. We've got a lot to get into, and I'm excited to talk about all of it. I'm excited to have basketball back. Alex, it's good to see you as I am in my remote location and you are in front of your fake green screen once again. How the hell are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see the background now. It's real. It's in daytime and nighttime, so it's good. But no, I'm happy. I'm excited. The NBA's back. I'm very, 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 very excited about that. It was nice to have it like the full swing. The first night was like, you get a couple games and everybody sees the games and it's not that exciting. But then like last night, it was more of the just everybody's playing, everybody's in there and everything's going and it's exciting. It's cool to check my fantasy stats and see and watch my highlights in the morning. It was exciting. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, I'll disagree with you on
what played, but whatever.
I'll disagree with you on one thing. I understand where you're coming from with the excitement from yesterday, but I had more juice for the Nets on the Tuesday night as the NBA season opener, playing against the Golden State Warriors, and it was fun, man. They kicked the shit out of them. They beat them up. Golden State depleted without Draymond Green. I don't even consider Klay Thompson out because he's not on that roster this year, so he's not going to play the whole season. So. It's like last year with the Nets. You're not like Kevin Durant's out. It's different. No, he's not there for the team. But I think it is part of the storyline. But it was great to see the Nets just, from my end, just wire to wire, kick the crap out of Golden State. And I thought the Nets looked really good.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even a game. And, it wasn't even close. I had couple bets going on in that game. And like I bet on the Warriors because I thought maybe I could catch like the gambling of, how they overrate maybe a team, you know what I mean? Like the Nets might be great, but in the first game of the season and they're 7.5 point favorites. And I'm just like, let me bet this Warriors money line. I think they can keep it close and you never know with Steph and Wiseman, you never know. And he's starting and it's just like, all right. And it didn't work out. I also bet on Steph hitting the first basket and he hit the first foul shots. And that apparently doesn't count as a basket. And that pissed me off.
I wanted to ask you that. I wanted to ask you that because I know that was the bet you put in. I remember you telling me that, and then I saw that Steph hit the free throws, but I wasn't sure if that counted. So that did not go into your pockets.
No,
that's why you don't bet. You never.
No, that was annoying. I know it's a sucker's bet. I was telling you that before the game. The first basket is just a fun bet, just to get excited about the beginning of the game. You know what I mean? But whatever. It doesn't matter. It was only like $5 on that, so it wasn't a big deal. But overall, the Nets, they did what they're supposed to do. They beat a team that they're better than. And, it doesn't show that the Nets have arrived. It doesn't show anything. It just shows, and that's not a shot. It's one game against a team that was worse and they did what they were supposed to do. The real tests will come down the road. Who are their next games against?
They've got the Celtics on Friday. For Christmas Day.
Okay, so
I disagree slightly because they beat the crap out of them and they look dominant doing it. And I like you said, it's only one game. Maybe Golden State's going to be good. Like Curry isn't back in the rhythm. Wiseman looked like a decent player.
When Draymond
the rest of the team was the Nets trashed them. So I would disagree a little bit, and I would say this because so much hype and excitement going into a season and so much unknown that when you go into the first game to say they did what they were supposed to do, I think would be a little understating the fact that they went in there and they were up by 38 at one point, and the game was never even close. Right. And they trashed them. And Durant looked healthy. The thing about KD was he was missing shots, but gliding to the hoop, playing defense. They said on the broadcast that Kerr said KD was their best defensive player on the Warriors back in those title teams. That's saying something with Draymond. I don't know. I don't know if he was, but KD defensively looked good. Yeah. I think people have forgotten because there's been so much fun for everybody to trash Kyrie for being what they deem a mental case. He went out there and balled. Personally, I was like, after seeing that roster and that depth, I'm like, this is why you don't trade for James Harden. To understate it, they did what they were supposed to do. I think is being a little bit like, I don't want to give them credit because I know how painful it is as a Knicks fan. And I saw that everywhere from people, as opposed to just being like, you know what? They kicked the shit out of them. It is just one game, but it was more than just what they were supposed to do. They trashed them.
Yeah, the Warriors did win 10 games with this roster last year. They have Wiseman now, but like they really did win 10 games last year. So pretty much this exact roster besides Oubre and whatever. I think Oubre was there. I don't remember whatever. But I'm not taking away from the Nets, like they did well, but And you're right. It wasn't like they did what they're supposed to do. You're right. You changed my mind a little bit because they won by they won by more what the final score was. It was 25 points or something like that. 26 points they won by, but they really won by 40.
Fourth.
Like this game was over in the first quarter. Yeah, yeah. They didn't even play in the fourth exactly. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I would just say this as well. I mean, I can't have both. You can't have both ways. You can't have people saying KD's not going to be that good. This team is overrated. And then they go out and they beat a team by 40 and go, well, that's what they were supposed to do. You can't have both. It's one or the other.
No, you can't. I mean, Durant started off great and he was like, wow. I was like, wow, he looks good. And then he had 10 points the first quarter and then he like disappeared for the second quarter. And then he turned it on a little bit in the third and then didn't play the fourth. So, I mean, it was kind of an incomplete for me. I mean, he looked good though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating, he looked good. But, it wasn't like you could be like, wow, he is 100% back. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just is what it is. He's going against Kelly Oubre, who dunked it on his head that one time. That was funny. Well, but other than that, I know you hate that.
He did score. I mean, to defend Durant there, he did score 22 points in 24 minutes.
Right.
So it's efficient. He made his free throws. He was 7 for 7 from the line. And Oubre in that game, by the way, was 3 for 12. So, he had monster highlight dunks. But if you watched him in full totality, he was awful.
Yeah, he made Twitter, but he didn't make the real life basketball play. Like you get some viral videos and that's it. And Wiggins looked like terrible, man. What's up with Wiggins, dude? Like he's not even trying. He's just like flinging it up at the hoop. I don't know. Those braids are too tight. I don't know what's going on there, man.
He to me has been such a. I mean, he to me has been such a bust in this league because
number one
talented, number one pick, but he just has never been able to get it to work all together. And he. Like in theory, with a healthy Warriors roster, he makes sense with Clay, Steph, Draymond. He's out there, but he just doesn't. He lacks something that I don't feel like a champion player has, and it just something about it. Like everywhere he goes, it's like just doesn't seem to work. Like I'll tell you this: I would be more fearful if the Warriors last night had D'Angelo Russell on the court last night. I feel like they would have had a much better chance of playing against the Nets than what we saw from Wiggins. It would have been a much different game.
Yeah, and they couldn't wait to get rid of Russell. I don't know what, even last year during a terrible season, I don't know what happened there. I mean, they got some draft picks for him. That was a pretty good trade for them. But, I don't know what happened there. Something that, I'm not in tune with every Warriors game, especially when they're winning 10 games and not the Warriors that we've come to know. But I don't understand what happened there, but yes, they would have been way better off with D'Angelo Russell and Steph Curry. It's kind of a weird pairing. Maybe they thought Clay would be back and they'd, run it back with Steph, Clay, and Dre, and just before Durant was there, and maybe have Wiseman and run. But Clay getting hurt really screwed up their plans this year. Now they might
totally. It totally screwed them up. I mean, you're losing one of the most dynamic, best players in the NBA. Yeah. The guy can score 50 points without dribbling a basketball. I mean, the guy's incredible. Right. He's incredible talent. Yeah. So that definitely. Crush their chances.
Yeah,
but
I feel bad for Steph a little bit.
I would just say, I don't want to for the Knicks fan that's out there listening and they're going, well, that's what they were supposed to do. And then 20 minutes earlier, it's the conversation of, well, I don't think KD's going to live up to this hype. It's not as good. Like, what do you want? So
right.
Is it that they're not living up to the hype, but they beat the Warriors by 35? You got to pick one. So you can't say that yes, that's what they were supposed to do. 2 weeks earlier, saying how bad they're going to be. Like it's one or the other. And it's only one. It's only one game. But I will say if you're going to start your season that way, why the hell not?
Well, we talked about it. Like, no matter what happens, if they win by 30 or lose by 30, it's going to be over the top reactions. You know what I mean? And that's what happened. I mean, it's one game regardless, even if they won by 2 points. But like, it's going to be like, wow, the Nets are a machine, and they're, you get like the Skip Baylesses and the people, who need to get attention because they have a TV show, which is understandable, and they'll send it out. The Nets are a machine, and they're going to be an unstoppable force. So you get people on ESPN, this, that, and it's fine. And people might have thought that before, but like watching a game beating the Warriors, who were like a shorthanded team, doesn't really prove that they've arrived. I mean, they are good, and they're good on paper, and they could be great. But let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. That's
I feel that. I understand that. I find it fascinating because I had all these Celtic fans reach out to me, and they're like, the Nets are. I had every Knicks fan that I talked to was like, calm down, it's just one game. Celtic fans were like, your team is awesome. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. I wonder why one fan base who's had a lot of success reached out and was like, you look good. The other one was like, calm down. Just thought it was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit of it's in our face, Knicks fans. It's in our face. It's Nets win, and it's like, haha, Knicks. It's just like, yeah, all right, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you worried about us for? You know
I'm not.
So it's kind of like, yeah.
No,
I mean,
haha,
you care.
Knicks.
You
No, I
care.
want, I
You
want,
care.
I want your team to lose every game. Don't get me wrong. I was not happy with the
Yes.
fact that
Okay.
they
So
were
there you go.
winning late in the third quarter. That was disappointing to me. I want to see them lose. I want to see them be unsuccessful. But
Yeah.
it's not I'm not going to take the Nets win, and I'm not going to the Knicks fan to brag about it. No, I'm feeling really good
Mhm.
about that victory, and I might have a different opinion on Friday if they play the Celtics, who just beat
On national
Milwaukee,
TV.
and be like, you know what,
Hmm.
that was a tougher game. So we'll see from there. But I was
Did you see that game? Did you see the highlights of that game? I didn't watch the game, but did you see the highlights of that
you know
Celtics
what, I
Bucks
watched
game?
it. I did. I saw the second and third quarters and didn't make it to the fourth. Couldn't last.
Well, Tatum hit the step back three, banked it in, right? Puts the Celtics up two, I think, and it kind of looked like he traveled, but it was like over Giannis, and he hits the shot. It was like good for him. And then they have like 0.3 left, trying to be David Lee Tippin kind of a move, and they throw it up for Giannis, and they call this foul on Tristan Thompson, who looks weird in a Celtics uniform. Yeah. Man, Tristan Thompson as a Celtic is super weird, and he fouls him, and it's the BS call. It's a Giannis call, and it's like, come on. And he hits the first free throw, and then the second free throw Giannis misses, and of course the ball don't lie. And it's just why? How do you call that? How do you call that foul on a tip in 0.2 left? If it's borderline, you swallow the whistle, man. The game's over. Like, unless you tackle the freaking guy, like, don't call that foul. Like, on a tip in, like, come on. You have to check that out. But so the Celtics are a machine, man. Like, they even without Kemba, and they have Teague in there, and their Tatum is about, I know we've been saying he's going to take that step for the last 2 years, but he's got
that's the
mid-range
key for
jumper is money.
Well, that's the key for Boston. Yeah. And I watched the Nets Celtics preseason game, and you could see like his shoulders look different. He looks like he put on. They're saying he put on like 10 pounds of muscle in the offseason, and that was like, wasn't that like 2 months? Like, how did you do that? I mean, it was like a ridiculous short amount of time to put on, but he looked fantastic. That team is. They need him to be great because they don't. If not, then they don't have any stars.
And Jaylen Brown put up 33 or something like that. He's my fantasy pick right there, man. Jaylen Brown. I'm locked in on Jaylen Brown.
The Nets, so, like, the Celtic Nets.
Yeah. So he's taking a step too. So that was one of those picks that the Celtics were dying to trade. Remember that day they were dying to trade all their picks. They had too many draft picks, and then they just picked Jaylen Brown. They're like, whatever. Let's just take the best guy here, and it worked out. Just keep swinging. That's what they did, and it worked.
Now they've those two young guys are the core of their team, and they need to be special if the Celtics want to contend in the Eastern Conference. And good step from them, obviously beating the Milwaukee Bucks, who are an intriguing team going into this offseason with the move they made for Holiday and the fact that they've had such disappointment in the playoffs. So it'll be fascinating to see this Eastern Conference, which is loaded. And one of the really good teams in the Eastern Conference is the Indiana Pacers, which don't get talked about a lot because they're in Indiana. But they've got a good nucleus.
Oladipo's back now. He's back now.
He's back, and I've been saying this forever because he has tortured the Nets. The Nets. Sabonis is a beast.
He's a machine.
That guy is annoying. He's like a modern day Jermaine O'Neal to me. Like he is good. He is strong inside and
post moves.
I know he gave the Knicks fits. But Indiana, another.
He was schooling Mitch Robinson. He was schooling Mitchell Robinson, schooling him.
Big,
and it was. Yeah, and he had Mitchell Robinson in foul trouble early. The second foul was a little BS, but he was like usual. Mitchell Robinson's foul trouble, of course, early on. He started, thankfully, but it was just Sabonis he was like, oh, this is easy. Mitch is so aggressive on defense, and Sabonis knew that. It's like he did his homework. He knew where Mitch was going to go. He knew he was going to jump at the fake. He knew he was going to jump at the second fake, and he was just in his office, man. It was not fun to see, but it was like from a pure basketball perspective, it was like, this guy has got it. He's got the white boy up and under move that we all have in our repertoire when we go into the parks. It's like we all have that move, and it is what it is, man. I mean, the Knicks they look good, and Emmanuel quickly came in. He didn't start. They had the weird starting lineup. They had Bullock starting, hit some shots early. Randall. So they had Peyton, RJ, Bullock, Randall, and Mitch. And Mitch caught 2 fouls early. Then Noel came in and caught 2 fouls. Like it was like Sabonis was just schooling everybody.
Yeah,
and it was just
a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and he was like the questionable All-Star last year too. Remember last year, everyone's like, "How is Sabonis an All-Star?" And you're like, "Dude, like Sabonis is good. Maybe he shouldn't have been an All-Star, but don't hate on Sabonis."
Think about this for a second. That Thunder trade was Paul George for Oladipo and Sabonis. I mean. They say you trade a star, it doesn't work. It can work. I mean, Indiana clearly got the better end of that
title contenders, but they got a squad. They have a good squad. They're ready to. They're a playoff team. They're top 5 team in the East.
Somewhere in that mix.
Yeah, and it was a weird game because Peyton was doing his Peyton stuff. He's being okay, and he just has nothing. And then all of a sudden, quickly, and Burks come in, and Burks just starts stroking the jumpers, and he looks weird on some few fast breaks, and he's like stumbling and bumbling, like Clyde would say. And I'm just like, oh my god, what is this guy doing? And then he starts hitting some shots, and he goes well, and quickly is commanding the offense, and like he looks like he's a veteran, man. He has that that play like Durant does it or Harden does it, where they like pump fake and they on a three and they draw the foul and lean in. He does that to perfection already. He's 21 years old. I don't even know how old he is, but he played 2 years in college, and it's just like wow. And all of a sudden he gets knocked in the hip by Miles Turner, and then the next play he goes up and he like comes down and he has to come out. He's got a hit pointer, and of course he's out for the second half. And the Knicks were winning at the half, and they were looking good. And RJ Barrett, I remember I texted you, I was like, RJ Barrett's 8 for 8. And you're like, this is my nightmare. And it was like, well, 9 for 9 now.
Then you jinxed him. He missed his next 3 shots, I think, or something like that. He was like 9 for 12 all of a sudden. But I thought, impressive with RJ too, finishing with the right hand, getting to the basket and finishing with the right. Because, obviously such a lefty heavy guard and, stroking the three. No, RJ looked good. And this is why we come back to this, and we won't do too much on this because it'll be annoying for you and the audience. But I'll say this. This is why I said, like, you don't want a guy like Russell Russell Westbrook. Say that 10 times.
Triple double for 3 quarters last night.
Like, this is what you want. You want to see quickly. You want to see Barrett. You want to see these guys that get experience and see them develop and see what happens instead of if Russ was there, these guys wouldn't be getting the touches that they are right now. And you'd be a little better, but you wouldn't be great enough if RJ gets great, quickly gets great. And again, this is what the Knicks are doing. I've done such a tremendous job, in my opinion, in the last 8 months. How did they get quickly?
That was the Marcus Morris trade. They got that pick, and then they traded their first and their second round pick, and then traded back, and they thought they were going to get somebody, then they traded back and they got him. So it's pretty much the Marcus Morris pick.
And the point was you signed a veteran that clearly on the was playing well, was your best player for much of the year, but it was like, well, what are we gonna, what does it matter? Flip him for a pick, and then the key is draft well, and you can build a roster. And now quickly, if they didn't make that trade, Marcus Morris, I mean, is he back? Who cares? Does he like now you've got a guy that, knock on wood for your team, can become a star point guard.
He may be better than Obi Toppin. We don't know. It's crazy.
But the point is,
crazy to say Obi Toppin looks good, but I mean,
you make that flip. Now you have at least a shot, and that's why I think, I think the Knicks are headed in the right direction. If I'm a Knicks fan, I'm excited for what I saw.
No, I know, and I was excited, and then quickly gets hurt, and then Burks turns into a pumpkin. You know what I mean? He's Alec Burks. Everybody relax. I'm like, oh, he's got 17 points, trying to shove it in my face. I'm like, all right, like relax. Like he can put up stats, but he's not a star for a reason. He's been on 7 teams in 6 years for a reason, and and then all of a sudden, like fourth quarter, the Knicks are down by like 6 or something, and Tibbs puts in a cold Ntilikina, who hasn't played all game. And all of a sudden, just the wheels fall off. It was just strange. And he plays 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, and the wheels fall off. It's not all Ntilikina's fault, trust me. I'm not saying that, but it was just a bizarre move to just put a cold point guard in there. Like if you knew you wanted to go to him in the fourth, then go to him in the third. Give him like a 2 minutes, 3 minutes here, and just get him in the flow. Don't put him in like in the most pressure point time, and you're cold off the bench. It's just a weird thing. I don't know. It's strange.
I wonder if he
DSJ didn't play at all, by the way. Dennis Smith Jr. in 0 minutes.
I wonder if he didn't. I wonder if he knew that was going to be the rotation for Frank. They're like, hey, just get ready for the fourth to come in. This is not like baseball where you're going to your closer. I mean, it was weird. So I'm curious what Tibbs said about that. I'm sure he was asked the postgame. Someone had to ask that question.
Yeah.
What was the idea behind that?
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I think that he tried to have RJ be like the point forward with like Burks in there, and like he was trying to like flip, like have weird. He was trying to it's early in the season. He's trying to figure out the rotations and stuff like that. It was just bizarre. It's like you're setting up Frank to fail. He's already like he's not the most confident player. It's just like, give the guy a shot. You know what I mean? Like you're throwing him in there in the fourth quarter down 6 or something. It's just like, come on, dude. Like, what do you expect? He's been sitting for now an hour and a half. He did some layup lines at halftime, and it's just like, what are you expecting? And I know next man up, sure, but it was like he quickly got hurt at the end of the second quarter, not in the 5 minutes, like 2 seconds before. Like you could have eased him into the rotation if that was a possibility. But he's clearly the third string point guard, and he wasn't extended for a reason. So maybe they're souring on Ntilikina.
That's what I was going to say. There had to have been, obviously, with the injury, that put a a hiccup in the plans of the rotation, but it's early enough where you could figure it out. But I guess, you're not the perfect coach. Like, people make decisions and they regret them, and it didn't work out. And it's obviously, I guess the point would be, if he does this every game, there'd be like, what the hell are you doing? But it's one game, you learn from it. And I'm sure his coaching standpoint, he's not going to do that moving forward. But that is kind of strange. All of a sudden, here comes Frank, cold off the bench. Go get him. We're in this game. We can try to steal one on the road versus the Indiana Pacers, a top level team in the Eastern Conference. Odd time to put him in for sure.
Yeah, I didn't understand that too much, but people are like, next man up. I'm like, I get it, next man up, but it's just, come on. But I don't know. It was just a frustrating loss, but it was just exactly the kind of team I thought they were going to be. And it's just frustrating because, Russell Westbrook was a pipe dream. And for me personally, and I don't think that was going to, it was going to happen unless it was a salary dump. And I don't think that they should have done unless it was a salary dump. So it's kind of good that, they didn't have a John Wall to give the Rockets, who can like give their fans some hope. You know what I mean? You never know with John Wall and Cousins and whatever. That's another story altogether. But then, you could have signed Gallinari. And if you're going to play Burks all these minutes, you could have signed a Gallinari and had him out there. You could have signed somebody else. Like, we've been down this road, if Burks is getting all these minutes and he's a bottom basement kind of free agent signing, like, you could have signed somebody. You're hoarding all this cap space for what? Like, you know what I mean? I guess you're going to make a trade, but try to give this team something a little more, because Obi Toppin, like, he looks good and he's chucking up these threes, and he's a good shooter, and he's a way better passer than anybody has ever even mentioned. Like, he's got some good dishes, but like, you can tell he really needs a point guard. Like, he really needs somebody to toss him the alley-oop, get him up there. And they don't have that. I mean, quickly, it looks good, and maybe that's the guy, but it's just frustrating because they could have done a little more. And that's just going to frustrate me all season long. And as Nick, me on Twitter, it's like, I'm going to start trolling you Knicks fans. Like, this is what you wanted. You wanted to lose. You wanted to be this team. Don't be mad if they're losing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Don't be mad if they're blowing these games. This is what you wanted. You want to fade for Cade, the new guy next year that they want. It's just, come on, man. Like, it's the same old crap. Like, sometimes you got to start winning at some point, man. Well, it's just so, like, I can't, like, I'm going to get myself mad. It's too early. It's Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to everybody. But like, I'm just, it's just annoying. It's annoying because they didn't have to be this bad. Like, they didn't have to be this bad, but they are. They're trying to be bad. They're tanking indirectly and tanking in disguise. I'm sorry. That's my term. But go ahead. Sorry. Well, I'm going to stop before I keep going.
If you want to see winning basketball, you can tune on the Yes Network. And you can watch the Nets play. And I'm just kidding around. I don't need to. Anytime a Net fan makes a proclamation, I've noticed this. The Knicks fan goes, "You're still the number 2 team in the town." It's like, okay, no shit. Who cares? Every freaking time, every freaking time. But it is kind of cool to see. There's definitely, if the Nets win, there's going to be a little shift, and you can see it. You can see with the younger generations coming in, watching.
It's all about health with the Nets, man. It's all about health with them because they're going to be fine if they're healthy. You can see it, but it's all about health, and that was part of the reason why I didn't want Durant after he got hurt, because I didn't want them to wait a year and then who would they get? Yeah. It's just the injury just screwed everything up for a lot of teams, and I don't know. I just whatever. I don't want to go down this road again.
I mean, like
health is everything.
I started this earlier in the episode. Not enough credit's being given to Kyrie Irving on the court. It's been all about the trash that's happened outside the court. Right. But then he goes into the game and he looks Kyrie. He looks like Kyrie again. Yeah, him and Durant look like they've got some great chemistry together. And then I was skeptical of Nash when he put Dinwiddie in the starting lineup and he put Vert off the bench. I was like, no, you got to start LeVert. He's their third best player. He's got to be in the rotation. But I was wrong. I was dead wrong. It's been fantastic. And it's created this second unit where Karras is coming in versus team second unit, and he is the best player on the court. And you pair him with Jared Allen and Shamet, their bench is solid with those 3 guys who are NBA starters for a lot of other teams. And their second unit has been fantastic. And the truth of the matter is, it's not about who starts the game. It's about who's going to be there at the end. And if you need Karras there at the end, what does it matter if he's out there on that starting unit? And I've thought, and Dinwiddie got a little better, but he to me looked a little like the most lost of the group early on, like a little out of place. I think because he needs the ball to be effective, and there was just so many ball handlers out there. He started to look a little more comfortable later on in the game. But that move to put LeVert off the bench, kudos to the Nets coaching staff, because I was against it, but man, it's really paid off in big dividends. It's been awesome to see. And tatted up Joe, he's been Joe Harris. best finisher around the rim in the NBA. And I enjoy, like, I've got to say this, Alex, I've never watched a team and had expectations like this. So when they went out and they did win like that, it felt really good because I want them, like, this is the year that they have to do it. And if they go out and they lose to Boston, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be disappointed. I mean, they gotta get. It's like I just want to trash the rest of the league, and I want to be the bad guys, and I want to be the villains, and I want everybody to hate them, and I want people to be jealous. I want people to be angry, and I want people to look for excuses to find that they suck. And I'm ready for it. I'm fucking ready for it.
Ready to be the bad guy.
I'm ready to be the bad. I want to be the bad guy, like Billie Eilish.
Yeah, it just shows that Steve Nash is just a great coach, right? In one game, he's a great coach. Won by 30 or whatever it was. I'm just kidding. You know what hurts?
Terrible.
It hurts me. It hurts me. I was watching. I saw some. I got stuck in a YouTube hole the other day, and I saw a Amari Stoudemire interview came up. And I was like, oh yeah, he's on the Nets. Like, fuck. Like, that kind of hurt my soul a little bit. I'm just like seeing Amari Stoudemire as a net because it was just like, oh, come on, dude. Like, did you have to do that? You know what I mean? Like, the Knicks couldn't find him a job somewhere. Like, you've been in Israel forever, and like you are. Right. But he said, he's like, I'm a Knick. Like, he said it in the interview. He's like, I'm a Knick. Like, this is like who I am. Like, that was one of some of my best years, and like I loved it there, and I loved my time there. They paid him a lot of money.
Yeah, that too.
They took a shot at, but they also took a shot at him when a lot of teams wouldn't. So like, they love him. And, so hearing that made me feel a little better, but it was just still kind of like, come on, man. Like, why are you there? Like, you know what I mean? All the teams.
Well, he's best friends with the coach.
Nash, I know. That helps. And he said, he was like, Steve Nash reached out, he reached out to Steve Nash after he got the job. He's like, hey, if you need any help, whatever, not like, hey, I need a job. It was kind of, and then Steve Nash was like, no, we want to, bring you in, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's like a weird way that it happened. So
it's so
I don't know. That hurt. I just got to tell you that hurt.
Well, put a Band-Aid on it and get out there. I find it funny too, like the media hysteria over, we heard what Kyrie Irving said about Steve Nash. Like, this is never going to work. And then, oh my goodness gracious, all this Kyrie stuff. And then they go out on the court and they show them, they're like high-fiving, like saying good things, and they're winning. So they're going to be in a good mood. And when they lose, that's when the true test will come. But it just shows you the overblownness of what is talked about. And like, you see Kyrie and Nash like high-fiving and like hugging each other. I'm like, does it seem okay? I mean, I heard what some people thought about it, how it wouldn't work, but it seems like they like each other all right.
Yeah, it seems fine for now. Like you said, they're winning, so they haven't lost any games yet. So we'll see what happens. Nobody's gotten hurt yet. If you hear this like random breathing in the background, my fiance Hannah is working doing the Peloton like right on the other side of his computer. So like, I don't think you hear it, but if you do, that's what's happening. So it's distracting me. I'm sure I can't. Mute, so you don't hear it. So that's
I definitely don't hear it. I'm actually recording this in my in-laws. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now, so I'm recording this on the road. That's why it looks a little different. I'm not in front of my refrigerator. They have much better internet than I do in my house. Like, the reason I do the podcast there is because that's where our internet's the strongest. It just is what it is. Here, the internet's been top notch. It's been fantastic. So I'm like in a normal office.
Well, you were freezing a little bit in the beginning, actually. I saw you freeze for like a second or two, but I don't know if you froze or if it was just on my end, but whatever. I
saw you froze.
I did? Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. What's funny? It's like, it's Christmas and I'm Jewish, so I don't have anything to do. And you usually find like, somebody comes over, watch basketball or whatever. But this year it's just going to be the two of us and the dog, Ruby, and it's going to be great. And we're going to order some Chinese food. And I have a question for you. What's your Chinese order? What's your favorite? What's your, like, you call it, hey, we're ordering Chinese food. And like, you don't have to look at a menu because you're not set 12 years old. Like, what do you want? You want the combination, whatever. What's your thing?
Well, so my favorite thing is, and I will say this, my favorite food in the world is Chinese food. And I know
is it
very cliche.
No, it's not. It's not.
I think it's amazing. I would eat it every night. We had it actually last night.
So bad for you, though. So bad.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. If you order a certain way, it can be bad. But anyway,
then it's boring. Then what's the point? I'm gonna get chicken and broccoli like then, like with no sauce. No. It's like, okay, that's great. I can just cook that myself.
we actually had it last night. There's a place in town here that is fantastic. Very good. Very good. Authentic Chinese food. It's really good. And I got this. This is not like my go-to order, but I got this kind of spicy beef with garlic and a cumin sauce, which was fantastic. It was very good. Ooh. But my go-to order, without a doubt, no hesitation, and it's fucking expensive, is duck. Give me some
duck.
Yeah,
a Chinese duck. Really?
Yeah, Peking duck is the best.
Yeah, I've never thought to order that at a Chinese place.
Oh my god, that's the best thing on the menu. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God! See,
I'm a sesame chicken guy, or a shrimp lo mein guy, or
see, this is Alex.
Shrimp and scallops, whatever.
I'm disappointed.
You're like legit mad, right?
Yeah, I'm legit mad. Like you've seen me get like angry at like Knicks stuff, whatever.
This is like a Mike Delivers
food passion is high on my list. Yeah. Oh yeah, Peking duck is the best. You get it in a scallion. You get it in a pancake, in a mushu pancake. Put in a little duck sauce, scallions, crispy duck with the skin.
Though, so.
I promise you. You get it tonight and report back.
No, tomorrow. Christmas Day. Tomorrow. That's the Jewish thing to do is watch basketball and ordering Chinese food on Christmas Day, and that's what we're doing.
Get it tomorrow.
That's why I brought it up. So
get it tomorrow. Report back to me. It's expensive though, so sorry.
We'll see if they have it. I got to check out, Profit too. In New York City has it. Profit Chinese. That's my spot.
Oh, if it's a good place, they're gonna have it. Oh,
I'm sure they have it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Like, all right. Okay, I'll see. I love duck though. Don't get me wrong. I love getting.
Then
duck,
you're gonna like
getting duck at like Mexican spot. They have the duck and like a fajita is really good. I get that too. But anyway, so that's why I brought it up. That's why I was wondering if Chinese food's on my mind because I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm going to try to diet all day today so I don't gain 30 pounds over the next 2 days. But try to go from that aspect. But that's why I wanted to bring it up because it's a big Chinese food Christmas Day. There's a funny sign not go too far off on a tangent, but it's a funny sign like a meme. A Chinese food restaurant has a sign outside that says like, Jewish people, I don't know what it is about your culture that you order Chinese food every Christmas, but thank you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. I don't understand, It's funny. But, anyway.
Well, it's funny because you were saying your fiance's on the Peloton. So we have a Peloton as well at our house, but they also, I'm not sure if you use the Peloton app. You can do different kind of exercises. So
there's classes.
There's these workout classes on a treadmill. So I've been working hard on the Peloton treadmill classes so that I can enjoy all the food because there's so much good food coming my way in the next, starting a couple days ago into the next 3 to 4 or 5 days or whatever. I want to be guilt-free and I'm not, I want to just, I want to earn it. And I'm going to do a Peloton class and I'm going to dance to Lady Gaga and the whole damn thing to make sure that I can consume as much food as possible.
There you go. It's worth it. It's worth it. Yes, it's worth it. But back to basketball, like real quick. And we'll forget basketball, right? And the Jets won. That's great. Good for them. Ruined their season, but it's okay. We talked about it last week. That's why I had to bring that up. But did you see the Pelicans last night? They were crushing it. They look really good. I saw the highlights, and with Zion looks like he's in shape, and Bledsoe's there, and Lonzo, and they got Ingram, and they got Jeff Van Gundy coaching, right? I think he's a coach. And they look like they're gonna be really good, and they got a bunch of assets in that Drew Holiday deal, which was an absurd amount of assets for a point guard like that, and got Bledsoe back in the deal. So it's like the Pelicans are set up with what's his name, Griffin's the GM, right? So like they're set up and they are gonna be like a machine. Like that's a team in the West to look out for. And like it all goes back to for me to the Mavericks. Mavericks lost last night, and every loss for the Mavericks is a win for the Knicks. You know what I mean? For the because they got their first round pick, of course. And I'm ready to rock, man. I'm ready. I'm getting excited about that. So hopefully the Suns look good. I mean, I know it's all one game. I get it, but this is just what we need. We get 2 lottery picks in the draft, and then maybe by 2037, the Knicks will actually try to win and add some players in free agency, and we can, away we go.
Looking forward to those. Looking forward to those days in 2037 when we talk about the Knicks making the playoffs after about 6 or 7 net championships. All right, Alex, let's get to the old fancy and all important poll question that you have this week. I know you have 2 of them.
I have 2 of them. Yes. First, I want to shout out to Pat Linus. He's at Patrick_Linus, LYNESS. He guessed the picture of Larry Hughes when I said 0 days, and I guessed this player, and it's a picture of Larry Hughes as a Knick with number 0. So shout out to him. He seems like a good dude. He was the first one to get it. Nice. I don't think you got it. Oh, did you get it? I sent it to you as a text, I think, right? I think you got it.
You think I got it in 2 seconds? You think I wouldn't know that, bro? Come on, be better than that.
That's like our prime, our NBA prime was Larry Hughes on the Cavs and stuff.
And you're gonna go on this podcast and say, "Did you get it? You got it. I got it in like 2 seconds." And you said, "Good job." You should remember that. Be better than that, man. Make me feel bad. I've had a reputation to uphold here for Nets Nation.
Yeah, right. Nets Nation, exactly. So speaking of the Nets, so I did 2 poll questions. I did a Nets one and a Knicks one because I was thinking about this. Well, when we get to the question, I'll tell you what I was thinking about. So are the Nets the most hated team in the NBA this season? If no, tell me which team is. Yes or no? What do you think the answer was? And what do you think the answer is?
I think the answer is no, and I think people would probably say the Lakers. I think the answer is yes in this area, but people won't admit it because admitting it is difficult for the Knicks fan because then it shows a sign of weakness that they care about the Nets.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. That's a good point. And a lot of people said Lakers, and it was no, 55% no, 44% yes. A lot of people said no because of the Lakers. And, also it's just, I think regionally, a lot of people said also that it was, excuse me, as I burp over the Nets question. But yeah, a lot of people said it was, locally, it's probably the Nets. And as the season goes on, I think that's going to change. But a couple shout outs here. We have Chet Nick. He's at Chester Nason 1 with an N, like Mason with an N. Brooklyn is at least the most hated in New York, he said. Then we have C Mars. He's at Marcy EE 33. 3. So MARCEE 3. He goes, got to prove you're good to be hated. That's a good point. Then we have Ryan. He's at Ryan Malone 531.
You don't have to prove to be good to be hated. You telling me that when the Miami Heat put together the big three and they were 8-7, they weren't hated because they didn't win games yet? No, of course. I disagree with that. That to me is just a comment because it's don't want to give the Nets credit for where they are. I disagree with that.
Well, C Mars has a picture of Meta World Peace in a Knicks uniform, so that's his picture. So no, he's a good dude. But then we have
you can be a good dude, and I disagree with you.
Yeah. Well, I guess. And I'm just kidding. So we have Ryan. So Ryan gets like 4 shout outs here. Ryan at Ryan P Malone 531. He goes, any team that has LeBron will always be the most hated, especially when it's the Lakers. So that kind of goes off of your point with the Heat. Mm-hmm. So that was my 3 shout outs for the Nets question. A lot of people said Lakers. So I hear you. I don't hate the Lakers. I don't know. I don't get that. But I think it is LeBron. I think a lot of people just irrationally hate LeBron. Like, when it's a jump shot. And like, Jordan would never. It's like, okay,
right.
Like relax. Jordan wasn't 100% from the field. So then we have the Knicks poll question. Knicks fans, how many wins for the Knicks this season? 10-15, 16-25, 26-35, or 36 plus? What do you think the answer was, and what do you think the answer should be?
The answer is, so there's 72 games, so that's obviously a different caveat for this, but probably in the 25 to 36 range.
Yeah, 26-35. That was the number one. I know. I'm just busting your balls. That was 46.9%. Got that. 16-25, 38.1%. 10-15, 4.8%, and 10% bonehead fans at 36 plus. Whatever. So then we have the kid Frankie. He's at 518 _ Nayte Nayte. He goes, I'm optimistic, so hoping for 20 plus. But the Knicks have been known to nick. That's a good point. Then we have E.A.D. He was at 2020 breaking. He goes, the NBA is stacked with teams who have 5 bench players that are better than the Knicks starting 5. I'm realistic. First week they will go 2-5. That will begin the downward, spiral. He meant to say, but they will not win 25 games without one legitimate star. They have 0 star players, and he used emojis, so that was very fancy. So then we have the New York Knicks podcast. He's at New York Knicks podcast. These are good guys. They have a good podcast and pretty popular. He goes 36 plus. Some of y'all are on crack. So, and which I tend to agree. Those are my shout outs for today. But, at 36 plus, you guys are out of your minds. But I think 26, if you're a rational fan, I think you're 20, but you're positive 26-35. I think it's gonna be more like 16-25 in my opinion, because they don't have enough, man. They didn't do enough. They don't have enough, and they're going to trade some players. Randall's hopefully going to get traded by the deadline, which is going to make their team worse. I know people hate on Randall, but he's 20 and 10 every night, man. Even if he's not hitting the shots or doing the right thing towards the end, that's a lot of production. That's a lot of statistics there, points that you just need to rely on every night.
They would never make the trade, but the Nets could use somebody like him.
Oh, never. Then the Knicks and Nets are never going to make a trade in this current state. Maybe in 10 years when things change, but right now the Knicks are never going to do anything to help the Nets go over the top.
No,
even if they give them, a bunch of draft picks for the next 10 years, it's not going to happen. I think Randall's more likely to get traded to the Bucks or
the Lakers.
The Lakers, or yeah, exactly. Another one
The
of my
Clippers.
fantasy points, Dennis Schroeder, 14 and 12 on the opening night, man. 14, 12 and 8, I think he was on opening night. My fantasy basketball, I'm a zen, bro. I'm zen. I'm the man, expert.
I'm your assistant GM as well, just so people know that. I'm there available when you need help.
I tweeted out the my fantasy team if anybody's interested. So if you want to check out my pictures on my @Knicks Central, I'm getting into it on there. People are liking it, so I'm going to talk about it more, just on Twitter, not on the podcast, because I think people get kind of bored, like, oh, I don't care about your fantasy team, But my team is pretty stacked. I'm pretty happy. I got Steph Curry, and then I got Zion. I got Rudy Gobert, Wiseman.
All right. We get it. They're great.
Got some guys. I'm not going to read off my roster, but I just kind of. But anyway, so I'm excited. The Knicks, are the team that I thought they were. The Nets, hopefully, don't win another game. And Merry Christmas to everybody, and Happy New Year. But we'll be here next week, so not Happy New Year yet. So save that.
No, save that one. That'll come in 2021, which will be an exciting moment for the world. Yes, and Nets Celtics play on Friday. That game is in Boston. What's the next Knicks game on the schedule?
Saturday versus the Sixers. Oh shit, someone's calling me. Saturday versus the Sixers. And then I think they have a back-to-back. Hold on, let me check. It's like they needed to win this Pacers game because they're on the way to 0-3, easy 0-3 right now.
Good.
They're good. So they have they played at Indy and they lost, and they have their Philly home and Milwaukee home, then at Cleveland. So they have Philly and Milwaukee on a back-to-back, 26th and 27th, and then the 29th they go to Cleveland. So they could easily start off 0-4, and then let's see how all of you positive and okay with the Knicks losing are when the Knicks are 0-4. Let's see how happy you guys are with that.
I
guarantee you will not be happy.
I will.
Michael, you will be happy. Evan Reynolds will be happy. People who hate the Knicks will be happy, but guys like I'm talking about the fans online that were all like, oh no, we didn't need to sign anybody. We didn't need to make the team better. We're just gonna be, what we could do, like we're gonna tank. We're gonna get Cade Cunningham. We're gonna be great. It's okay. We can lose. Don't worry about it. They did the right thing. Yeah, okay. When they're 0-10, let's see how happy you are with the Knicks losing and them stinking and not doing anything to make the team better. Let's see how happy you are then. Then put your money where your mouth is. That's what I have to say.
Bad Weather Fans, episode number 41. 2 games in the books. The Knicks losers to the Indiana Pacers. Brooklyn defeats the Golden State Warriors at home. And we have had live games to talk about. And I feel like after just one game, there was a lot of good talking points to get into from both sides and a lot of intrigue that heads forward, which is exciting. 71 more games to go and then the playoffs. So it's fun, Alex, that we got to do an episode where we got to talk about regular season basketball that was not in a bubble. There were no fans, but it was still great to see teams in their arenas. And I'm happy James Harden is not on the Nets, Alex.
Name the most famous number 41 in Knicks history. Go. Most famous number 41 in Knicks history. It's kind of a trick question.
I have no idea.
Glenn Rice, number 41.
Glenn Rice. Okay.
I
forgot he was on the Knicks. I forgot he was on the Knicks.
1 year.
1 year, Glenn Rice.
Yeah.
All right, Alex. That's been episode number 41 of Bad Weather Fans. We'll be back at it next week. Don't forget, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give a 5-star rating. Leave a comment. It's all greatly appreciated and helps for this podcast. And the love and support is great. You guys make the pod, and Knicks fans alike. It's been awesome to interact with you guys. So we appreciate that. And Alex, enjoy your Chinese food tomorrow. I want to report back on your thoughts on duck.
We'll see if I'll order the duck for you, but it's going to be sesame chicken with pork fried rice, egg roll, egg drop wonton soup. That's my order, but I'll get a side of the duck that you were saying. Just for
duck for $30.
Merry Christmas, everybody. What'd you say?
A side of duck for $35.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, listen, it's going to be like all I eat all day. I'm not going to eat breakfast. It's going to be like, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, lunch, dinner. And then I'm going to roll around the apartment for the rest of the day. So just is what it is.
Roll around and tweet.
Yes, roll around and tweet and say Merry Christmas.
All right.
Yes, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, guys. All right, Alex, be good, bro.